our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the blow, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. Better River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show. Don't kill us the bird.
All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live. Here with you on a Friday. Heading into the weekend. Mike Carver and Doug Kezirian as we get you ready for all of tonight's action, which is college basketball. There is some hockey going on right now. It is NBA All-Star Weekend. So we do have a few things to discuss at that event as well in Los Angeles this weekend. Doug, happy Friday. How you doing?
I understand when coaches would say, I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with best bets sometimes. Just because I was so torn. I was going to take Green Bay and just how well they're playing and then blah. It's all right. It's all right. It took some ridiculous shooting for me to lose that under, and that happens. That's, I don't have the next day's newspaper. So we turned the page. We missed out on the gentleman's sweep, but we can take a pivotal lead in the series 3-2.
So because as I said to you yesterday, I couldn't play that game on my daily double because I'm in New York. So I threw the Hawaii, which got there late last night. And I said, what was something else I said on the show? And the under in the Laker game. So I personally did get a daily double last night. But of course, that does not count because we didn't get it. But we're having such a good run. We will finish tonight.
Each do our own gentleman's sweeps, right? We're each 3-1
yes,
in our best bets this week.
We are. So we can each get a gentleman's sweep and close out an overall 3 out of 5, which is still, as Doug always likes to say, you hit plus 250 area 3 out of 5 nights. That's a pretty, you're doing okay if you can just get across the line with that. I will also tell you right now in terms of live action before we get to some things tonight, they are playing over in Milan. I hope you played it again with this. Both teams to score in the first period. Canada 2-1 leads Switzerland after the first. Really, honestly, sloppy final 10 minutes for Canada in that period. They came out on fire, and then they let the Swiss kind of get back in the game and kind of control the game, honestly, for the last 10 minutes. So let's see if Canada comes out with a little gas here. I did go -2.5 with the Canadians today. And I had that under this morning with Sweden and Finland, which got there 4-1 final for the Finns. So nice win for them. And Czech, what an awful job by them. They won 6-3, but that doesn't cover 3.5 when you win 6-3. So we'll see if Canada can get themselves rolling here in the second period. And you put the video out last night. I mean, Dougie Pucks, we should just handicap the men's hockey tournament more than anything else, Doug.
I mean, sometimes it's just trim the fat, simple. Just play it simple.
That was a good vid you put out. I like that. Let's get to this evening. The one thing that we do have is college basketball, and it's an enormous weekend of college hoops. We're going to go through all the games for tomorrow, etc. But we got games tonight, including a Big Ten game to start the weekend off in a big way. Number 10, Michigan State at Madison tonight against Wisconsin. Right now at Bet Rivers, Michigan State -2.5, 147.5 is the total.
Tricky spot for both teams. Sparty last played a week ago, right, and beat Illinois, and they have not played. And Wisconsin, the impressive win over Illinois as well. So both teams are coming off games against Illinois. I just think they're both teams that I don't want to get involved with. I think they're really kind of tough to figure out and tough to anticipate. Yeah, I like the Badgers off a couple losses, or in Sparty a week ago when they were off a couple losses. But I think when the variance of each team, especially the Badgers, you just don't know what you're going to get. So I do lean to the home dog here just because I've been fairly disappointed with Michigan State most of the time. And I lean under a little bit. I think Izzo will get in these guys' faces in terms of the Wisconsin shooters. But all in all, there's no need. I mean, I know it's a thin card tonight, no NBA as well, but still no need to get involved for me, just because I'm always a little gun shy when it comes to either of these teams. So when they play each other, it's, it's a no-fly zone for me.
And the crooked chef there in the chat box, let's go MSU. Need a win here. Would be a good win for Sparty. The total was kind of what I was looking at too, Doug, because 147, and you did have it up on the screen there. Both of these teams do score a decent amount of points, but Wisconsin's coming off 2 overtime games. The Illinois game, but they played an overtime game with Indiana before that too. I know Michigan State a week off, so they got plenty of rest, but both of these teams with a lot of extra basketball coming into this game. Maybe we slow down the pace. I think they showed the tempo ranking for Michigan State's in the 250s or 260s, somewhere around there. So I do kind of like the under with you here at 247.5.
They're really dependent on Fierce, right? Like, so if he's not going off, but the Badgers can shoot the lights out if they need to. So, but yeah, I wouldn't play over.
Would not play over in that scenario. 8:00 East. I think that's the big Fox game too. With Sparty and the Badgers coming up tonight. All right, let's do a few others because there is some A10 and some other conferences that are in action as well tonight. And this was kind of the riddle me this game of the night that came across my desk here. George Mason visiting George Washington tonight. Mason's having a real good year, Doug. They're 21-4. They're 9-3 in the conference. They're going to GW tonight, who's 5-7 in the conference, 14-11 overall, but they're 2.5-point favorites over Mason tonight. Where I want to go just by looking at that line. Tell me maybe I shouldn't.
I like the road team here. I think George Washington's down a key player. It hasn't really been formally announced, but my understanding, a big guy in the middle who's very important is going to miss this game. I know what you mean. Like, the number looks fishy. They probably should be favored, but not a big road trip here, obviously. And I like the dog, and I like the under. I think that's too big of a number. They played already this year, and you can't put a lot of stock in it, but 133 in the last meeting, and I don't know. It just seems really high.
Yeah, the Georges get together tonight. George Mason and George Washington there. -2.5. It's such a fishy number just looking at it. But with George Washington's injury situation, that is something that we have to look into. Let's go. How about the Ivy? A little Ivy League in. Everyone loves Friday night Ivy League action. Let's start with Cornell and Princeton. Cornell -3.5, 154.5 the total.
Okay. So Cornell is the run and gun team of the Ivies, and they stormed onto the scene, if you will, but there's been some serious regression here. They've gone under 5 of 6. This Princeton team is not that good. They're middle of the pack in the Ivies. I like the under. I think this is too high. There's also a familiarity with these teams, right? Obviously, this is the second sort of round of facing each other within conference play, just like we talked about GW, G Mason. So I just think there's familiarity, and I know Ivy's pushed the pace, and there's a lot of chucking, but that's a big number too. And Cornell, when they faced this contrast of styles, like they faced Harvard and some others, they did go over in the Harvard game barely, but a lot of these, they've been blowing them out by like 20. I think the Big Red can win this comfortably, like by 14 or so. And I think it's like 73-60. I think it's these numbers are too high, man. And if they shoot lights out, so what? But it just feels like way too high of a number.
It does seem like it's a pretty big number for these.
And Palm has like 160, so that gave me a little concern, but whatever.
Okay.
Let's ask Doug Gottlieb, Coach of the Year in the Horizon, what he thinks of.
What a job by them last night. Again, getting involved. Of course,
it's like 10-0 on the under 15, 16-minute timeout.
Elsewhere in the Ivy, let's go to go Brown first here. You love Brown. Brown at Harvard. Harvard -7.5, 132.5.
I think this is a tricky kind of spot. So Harvard and Yale play tomorrow. So they do this travel thing where they go in tandems. So Brown and Dartmouth are, I guess, together, and basically Penn and Princeton geographically together. Columbia and Cornell, it's like a long drive all the way to Ithaca. But so Harvard and Yale play tomorrow, and it's a big revenge spot for Yale. Yale's, it's a little touch and go right now. I'm not worried about the Howard game where they had to go to overtime. That was just like a random non-conference game. But Harvard and Yale are each tied 6-2 atop the conference. Big game tomorrow in Cambridge. I just wonder how much these teams are polished and professional enough to not look past their opponent. So I was looking at Brown first half, and then also Dartmouth, who plays Yale at home tonight. I think if you go the first half of each of these teams, the problem is Brown's offense is arguably the worst in the Ivies. But they've jumped on a few teams here and there. It's pretty hit or miss, and the officiating is suspect. So I would just say you probably should maybe do first half money lines, but I would say first half in the points with the Bears, and you do the same with the Dartmouth Big Green or whatever they are, the color. And Brown's an actual color of a university. It's John Brown's the founder. So yeah, that's the thought process. I'd be very surprised if Harvard and Yale both came out of the gates very polished, buttoned up, all business. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, 4.5 there. Brown getting in the first half. The money line's plus 195 for Brown in the first half against Harvard. And in the other game, I'll quickly get it for you if I can get there, which is Yale.
You're looking at like 8.5, 9.5 for the game.
Yeah, so 4.5 for Yale's minus 4.5, 5.5. Excuse me.
5.5. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, so the Ivy League is only a top 4 play in a tournament. So they added the tournament for postseason 4 or 5 years ago, and only the top 4 go, and it's a neutral site. It's predetermined, and then they play like all weekend. Or maybe it's 3 games. I don't know. Maybe it's top 8. Either way, it's not the end of the world if Yale doesn't win the regular season, but they got to start playing better. They've been shaky. So there's probably some line value with Dartmouth to begin with. Dartmouth is in that next tier with like aforementioned Princeton, Cornell, probably those 3, and maybe Penn. So I just think you got a home dog first half. The place might be rocking there. New Hampshire, not a lot to do other than watch some basketball tonight on the Dartmouth campus. So I would imagine it gets pretty ruckus.
Yeah, it is the top 4 in the Ivy. They play, of course, the 2 games on Saturday and then the championship on Sunday of that final weekend there heading in. Late night in the Mountain West. We got one on a Friday just after 10 o'clock East at the Blue Court in Boise as UNLV is in town. Right now at Bet Rivers, 10.5 for Boise State, 153.5 the total.
I don't know what to make of this. Boise lost the last game they faced UNLV, but the running Rebs are pretty erratic, right? They've beaten some good teams like Utah State on the road, but they also can blow a 9-point lead with 1.5 minutes to go. I'd probably lead Boise State here first half, something like that. But then again, this could be a blowout city. Leon Rice is a really good coach. He's just had a down year, although the Broncos have won 5 of 6. So they've turned some stuff around. Their only loss was a few points to a really good team. This conference has been good in the past. It's been a 3 or 4 bid league. I don't know if it's quite respected enough this year. I think it's top heavy, San Diego State and Utah State, but I'd probably lay it with the Broncos here. It's just an interesting handicap because UNLV's upside is there, and their leading scorer was out a couple games. He's back. He's his little point guard. He's a blur on the screen. And they have some players, but Boise State is just more buttoned up and polished, and their offensive sets will get you. They do pick and pops, and they could make it rain in altitude here.
And UNLV beat them in overtime at their place, right, a month ago.
Yeah.
You have that, of course, always lingering there, too. Canada scores early in the second period. They go up 3-1 now on, I think it might have been Celebrini again, who scored, of course, in their first game, too, as he has been off to a great start with Team Canada. It was Celebrini. I guess it helps, though, when you're playing with Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon. It's a nice couple guys to have on your line. When you're playing out there at the Olympics. So late night in the Mountain West, a little fun. A couple other ranked games here, Doug. We have a few of these mid-major teams that are ranked playing tonight, and they have some pretty big spreads. Let's go with the Billikens first. Minus 18.5 at Loyola Chicago. Billikens 23-1. Now Loyola Chicago stinks. They're 6-19 this season. This game's on ESPN2 just after 8:30 East. I know we've talked a little bit. We've had some of these monstrous spreads with St. Louis before here, especially on these Friday nights, Doug.
Yeah, like you said, the Ramblers stink, and this is their lone meeting. Nobody impressive on deck. I don't want to get in front. I don't think this is the time to fade the Billikens. There have been good times, but not this one. I just think you guys got to let this one go. I'd probably lay it before I took it.
I'm with you. I'm not getting in the way. Tonight's not the night to go after Loyola Chicago team total under. Steve is asking. Well, why don't we find out what that is before we try to make that determination? I have got the team total under for them at 68.5, under -127. Under -67.5 is -109. So
be careful with those heavily juiced team totals. I mean, look, they're dead last in conference. I get it. They did beat LaSalle, but LaSalle not exactly. I just think in football it's one thing because you have the over a 7 and 6.5 or 7.5 is really impactful. So I understand the juice, but when you get these heavily juiced totals, all it takes is a couple free points are easier to come by. With that being said, I would find a lower number and go under. I do see this one being points hard to come by for the Ramblers.
Yeah, but look, like you say, like you get a blowout where they're destroying him in the second half, and it becomes a scrimmage, and suddenly St. Louis wins 93-71, and you lost that team total. It's like
you can't lay that kind of juice on a basketball team total. You can't.
Not easy to do. And of course, then we have the last remaining unbeaten, number 23, Miami of Ohio. Big rivalry game tonight with the Bobcats in town. -9.5. 164.5 the total.
It's interesting because you're starting to hear the the conversations that they have to get the automatic bid. They're not going to get an at-large bid. Even though their schedule's been so weak. It's a MAC team. So you just wonder if they're answering those questions between games where it's not even a topic. It's like they haven't been eliminated from the conference tournament. Why would we even have this discussion? But the fact that of course they're going to be a 12 seed. They're not that good.
No. Well, I think that sometimes, Doug, that gets said, and to that point that was made there in the chat box, because I think that sometimes people look at the top 25 and they see a team ranked in the top 25 and they go, all right, well, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, like those should all be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seeds, right? It doesn't work like that, Doug. Even though you could be ranked like Miami of Ohio is here for a good portion of the season, they still got to drop you on that 10, 11, 12 line way down, even though you've been ranked all year.
Yeah, I mean, the bracket is about power rating, right? It's rewarding play, but that's part power rating. And the rankings are like totally what have you done for me, right? And we would always talk about projecting in futures markets, like, well, why didn't the futures market match the rankings? It's like, well, these teams haven't played their gauntlet or whatever. We would talk about that in football. Miami of Ohio's a lot to like, and I always find it interesting. It's like, well, if they were in the Big Ten, they'd have like 4 wins or 3 wins. Yeah, but how many of those other teams could be undefeated with their schedule? Like, not a ton, right? Going undefeated is going undefeated. That being said, there's a lot of teams in the country I think that would be undefeated with their schedule. As for this game, I just wonder if they're getting distracted with a lot of the at-large conversations, even though they shouldn't even be asked it at all. It's not relevant. It's only relevant if they lose their conference tournament game or one of those games. That's when you start having the conversation. It's not fair to these players when we're in mid-February and they have to be answering that. I just wonder if it has an impact on how they play in the next few games. So question is Ohio. We've obviously touched on Miami of Ohio when they face Akron, Kent State, and stuff like that. Can Ohio be the one that sneaks up on them and forces them into a tough game? I'm not so sure. I think on the road is where you want to maybe get this Red Hawks team. I think they probably cover this. I'm laying off it, though.
If I'm them, and I know we say this about all these teams that are undefeated, I think it holds even more for them because those other teams that are undefeated going to the conference tournament in big conferences, they can lose in the conference tournament. They have a safety. There's going to be so much pressure on these guys. They go 31-0 into the conference tournament, and they still have to make sure that they got to lose a game at some point, Doug. They got to go into that conference
They should have 2
tournament with a loss.
losses, right? I mean, they're not
Wow,
clear
they
and
should
away
have
the
lost
best
that.
team.
I know. I'll tell you the one they should have lost, and that was that
This is
Kent
not
State overtime game.
I'll tell you what, this is not Wichita State when they had that team. I don't know if Van Vliet was on it, but they had that undefeated team that faced Kentucky in the first round. This is not like when they were a 1 seed and that team was awesome.
No.
They had Baker who went to the Knicks. This is a different squad. This is a team that's definitely a double-digit seed.
Yes, and I hope they are there because they have had a good year, and you want them to win their conference tournament. I want to see them get on that big stage, but man, them going into that 31-0 would be a lot of pressure in that MAC tournament if they got there. But just like the Billikens, Doug, I don't think this is the night I want to. And I know I've tried a few times. I'm not getting in the way of Miami of Ohio tonight. I'm not going near it this evening.
Yeah, I don't think it's good timing.
It's not good timing. Next game, they're at UMass, who played them tough the first time they played them during the week. So maybe we'll see what the number is for that game, and we'll try them. So those are tonight's games in college. We obviously have some heavy hitters over the weekend that we need to discuss as well here on a Friday night, including early Saturday afternoon around 1 o'clock East for number 9 Kansas coming off the win against Arizona. Number 5 Iowa State. The game's in Ames, -6.5 for the Cyclones. 143.5 is the total. Of course, Kansas beat them at their place earlier in the season, Doug.
It's Iowa State or pass. The problem is I just don't know the situation with Darren Peterson. He had the bug, and he was a late scratch Monday night. But he's had a run of bad luck. Bill Self defending him because critics are saying it's load management. It's the NBA spilling over, and he's protecting his number 1 draft pick. This should be a great game. We know about Hilton Magic. I don't think KU can play better than they did on Monday if Peterson's not in the lineup. So you add Peterson to that version of the Jayhawks, you got a championship team. It's just a lot to ask because it was incredible shot making, and they really protected the paint. I think this Iowa State team's pretty good, but there's also something missing. I'm not in love with them. I think it's too big of a number to lay, and the giant unknown of Peterson.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. It leans Iowa State for me. It is a giant unknown. I mean, he could be healthy and still not play, right, Doug? You never know with him.
Right.
He could be healthy. Might play a half. You don't know which half he's going to play when he gets out there. Number 1, Arizona. They get back on the court for the first time since losing that game to Kansas on Monday night. They are home for Texas Tech. This is just after 6:30 East on ESPN. 9.5 for the Wildcats, 157.5 the total. Is this a nice little bounce back smash job against Texas Tech?
I'm not so sure. I think, remember, these things come in pairs, and I know they're back at the McHale Center, but that's a big number. Now, Texas Tech's offense can go in some serious droughts, and if Arizona makes shots like they did at the Fog, then yes, it's a double-digit win, but feels a little too high for me to get involved. That's a little much. 9.5 against this Red Raiders squad. I'm going to have to pass. But the problem with betting it, and why I'm not, is like I don't think they're going to win the game. So it's like, okay, so you think they're going to lose by like 5? Okay, so you have like a 4.5 point window here to land the plane, but then they can, so that's why it's just a coin flip for me with this point spread.
Just after noon East, we'll go ACC now. Number 20, Clemson, who did lose that game to Virginia Tech the other night. I remember saying to Doug, should we put Clemson in that parlay? And he went, Virginia Tech got that win against them. Clemson's at Duke. Duke -12.5, 133.5 the total.
Yeah, I like this Clemson squad. It was a worse sandwich spot. They come back from the West Coast and have one home game, and then they got Duke at Cameron Indoor. So it was just a really bad spot, and Virginia Tech's a good enough team that they handled themselves. Now, Duke's good, right? And this is their lone meeting of the regular season, so it's the imbalanced schedule of the ACC. I just think this number's too high. I like Duke. I don't love it. They have some guys who can make shots, and Boozer plays sort of like his dad as a wing, though. His dad was more bulky down low, but he's got a big frame. But 12.5 is too big of a number. I think Clemson can hang around inside the number here. And also, and I mentioned it the other day, Shire in close games leaves a lot to be desired. He blew that game in the tournament last year.
Yep.
Blew the game against Carolina. It was up 9, 4 minutes to go, or whatever it was. So if this game's close, I worry about Duke getting over the hump. And obviously, we're not worried about a 5-point spread. Like normally, that in-game coaching might be a concern in tight games. I mean, it's a big number, but that's still in the back of my mind, I guess, is a way to put it. So I'd have to take the Tigers here.
Tigers, and that's an early tip, noon East, Ed Cameron Indoor.
And that's another part of it. Night games are part of the handicap on the weekends, football especially. Right. If this were at Cameron Indoor, I'd make the line 13 and a half, right? If the true line's 12 and a half during the day.
This game caught my eye too. Kentucky at Florida. This is just after 3:00 East, down in Gainesville. Florida minus 11 and a half, 152 and a half. This seems like a lot, Doug, for Kentucky here. A lot.
It does. But Florida's pretty good, and you wonder if they're hitting their groove. They're 14-1 right now at Bet Rivers to win it all. I mean, they're tempting because they got size, right? And obviously, we saw them play UConn early in the season, but you saw how they can hang around. I think Florida's kind of hitting their groove. And this is at the O-Dome. I don't know. Kentucky, I mean, probably should just bet Florida first half. Kentucky digs themselves holes all the time. But yeah, the number felt too high. I lean dog. It's dog or pass. I mean, that's just too big of a number. Because Kentucky could win, right? I mean, they've pulled the rabbit out of the hat a few times.
They certainly have. Purdue visiting Iowa. Iowa coming off that awful loss to Maryland, who stinks. Purdue, a very short 1.5-point favorite at Iowa, 141.5.
Yeah, I'm trying not to overreact to the Hawkeyes game. Look, they shot 7 of 28 from downtown. It's going to happen. There were open looks. It's not like they were forced until the final minute or so. Purdue, though, has a lot of size, and it beats up on teams. I think the Hawkeyes can handle themselves with that size, but Purdue's responded pretty effectively after those 3 straight losses. They've bounced back in a really nice way. I like the Hawkeyes a little bit here, but Purdue's pretty polished, and they have a veteran point guard in Braden Smith. There's no need for me to get involved. It's a pass, but you just wonder about these 1.5-point spreads. It's usually the home team was 1.5. I get a little worried. It feels like a weak favorite, Yeah. It should be, these home teams that are 1.5 should be 2.5. So the fact when it's 1.5, I get a little worried. It's kind of like in the NFL when it's 2.5. It's like, why aren't they 3? I lean Hawkeyes here, but I think this is going to be kind of an erratic game. Like both teams are going to be up 7 or something at some point.
A very rare late in the season out of conference neutral site game tomorrow night. And we get one next week too with Michigan and Duke in DC. Virginia and Ohio State are playing in Nashville at the Bridgestone Saturday night, just after 8:00 East on Fox. The Nashville Hoops Showdown. Virginia minus 4.5, 147.5.
I'm surprised this number's this low. I thought it'd be 6.5. I like UVA a lot. Ohio State's a nice team, but they're middle of the pack, kind of bottom tier in the Big Ten. So yeah, they'll beat up on Maryland, Penn State, but they get outclassed by the best teams. USC, they only won by 7, but it was tight most of the game. They got up to double digits, but that's sort of who they are. I think Virginia is like a legit ranked team. They on a neutral here, they should be able to handle their business. I like UVA here.
Yeah, I'm with you. UVA seems like the way to go in this game. Texas A&M at Vandy here. Vandy minus 7.5, 166.5, big total.
This is really interesting, this A&M team, because we know it just means more in the SEC, and we hear about all these other teams in the SEC because we just talked about Florida on a roll and things like that. But I'll tell you what, this A&M team's hanging around with all these other teams. A couple of weeks ago, they were in first place. I like them, and they're off 3 straight losses. I think they bring it. I don't know how they lost to Missouri, but they did because they lost at home there. I think this is a kind of a good spot to back sort of a team that, you zag while others are zigging and fading them. They lost at Bama by 3. They lost to Florida by 1, and then there was a hangover game to Missouri. I think this team's upside is way better than people realize. For a conference that gets a lot of pub, all the other teams in the conference that are sort of their record or better get a lot of attention. I mean, they're 7-4, okay? How often do we hear about Bama Tennessee, Vandy, they're all 7-4. Arkansas, Kentucky, 8-3, and then Florida. Like A&M's right there. We don't hear anything about them. So I like the 7.5 here. Vandy's been good at home, but I like the 7.5.
Late night in the WCC. Number 12 Gonzaga visiting Santa Clara. Santa Clara's having a hell of a year. They're 22-5. -3.5 for the Zags. I mean, am I nuts here, Doug? This seems like let's just a hammer job for Gonzaga here on the road at Santa Clara.
I get a little worried when these teams are, think they're better than are. Now, San Francisco only lost by 2 at the Kennel. Gonzaga lost at Portland. I mean, the Gonzaga team is not dominant.
Not vintage.
No, it's not. But they beat them by 12 at the Kennel. I think 3.5 is too cheap. I would have made it 5.5.
I always have pause whenever Gonzaga it's single digits against any of these other teams besides St. Mary's in the WCC.
It's a tough conference, Andy, because they have these monster numbers like 28.5, 22.5, 17.5, and then they have these games. You just think remember St. Mary's was the better team for a couple years.
Yeah.
So you just don't know like which version you're gonna get. They kind of they're required to wear a few hats in conference play, right? They get these blowout games, they get these tank games. I mean, it's just so that's the only time. But I agree with Henry here. They're not that good.
They're not
that good. But I don't think Santa Clara has anything to write home about either.
I agree. And that's where I think we're catching Gonzaga tomorrow night with maybe a little bit of a lower number than we should at 3.5. We can go
I would
there.
agree.
All right, let's rifle through the rest. UNC and Pitt, Saturday afternoon. This is North Carolina back at home after the loss to Miami, -11.5, 144.5.
So obviously, Caleb Wilson here. He's got a busted hand or whatever it is. So I actually think it's a good spot to bet on UNC. This Pitt team stinks. They played hard against Duke at home the other day. I think they're going to walk into a buzzsaw. This Carolina team, that usually we talk about this first game without a key injury, the fallen teammate. I think they're going to respond, and I think Pitt's like the worst team. Pitt didn't make its first free throw until 3 minutes to go in the game the other night against Duke. They were 0-5. I think Carolina can dominate. Now, Caleb Wilson is a big part of what they do. So what do you think about the under? I think this number is way too high. I think Pitt can't do anything offensively.
Pitt cannot score. I mean, this is like I could see like 75-55, like that type of a game, right? Like I feel like that number is just kind of mid-70s to mid to high 50s. Like it's going to be kind of in that range. So I can get with you on that under for Pitt and North Carolina.
Caleb Wilson plays a lot of good defense and rebounds. He's excellent with like help defense. I mean, I watched a video the other day. Someone was trying to explain he's like another Garnett. He can guard the ball handler up top, switches, but his help defense. But he's also a bucket when they need it. And that's not going to be there in the lineup. And I don't know if his defense is really needed against such a bad Pittsburgh offense. This feels like there's going to be something disjointed offensively. And I think under's the way to go. It's going to be a little bit of a sweat. It's not, it is what it is. I wish it was in the 150s, but
that's what makes it fun.
That's not good.
That's what makes
Pitt
it
is
fun.
not good.
They stink. Pitt is awful. You kind of mentioned this earlier, but obviously Yale is at Harvard tomorrow night. That's after tonight's games, and that's projected line Yale -4.5. Projected line.
I don't know what Ken Palm has 4, so who knows what it's going to be. I look, Yale's I think significantly better. Now, definitively better. I don't know how much the points are. Road chalk. It's a revenge game, but Yale's not playing great. But I think they flipped the switch. I would lay it before I took it.
We'll get a little Mountain West on Saturday night as well. We love the Mountain West. We just can't get away from it here on Betting Weekly Live. And we have Air Force at Fresno, 2 of the best of the Mountain West also. This is actually 5 o'clock East, 16.5. Fresno, how bad are you that you're catching 16.5 from Fresno State this year? That's tough.
So I laid 10 with Fresno not too long ago at Air Force. I just thought, the market hadn't adjusted, and Fresno. This feels like a little too high of a number. This is what Colorado State was laying, and it came down to the final minute. Each team was hitting step back threes. This feels like too much, but I'm not taking Air Force. God, no, I can't. They're not a real basketball team in Division I. But it's tempting to play Fresno because sometimes you salivate at the opportunity to face a team like this, and you just get all the guys get up for it. So maybe it's an overplay. I don't know. Air Force can't score, so I'm not going to play an over. It's just kind of funny because they're the second worst team, although San Jose State's kind of right there.
And last one I'll throw you. Number 3, Houston's at home for Kansas State after, they're having a miserable year as it is. Tang after the game, he was real happy. 22.5 for Houston, 145.5 the total.
Okay, so first thought should be like, what am I missing? The Cougars are going to win by 35. But then you got Houston's at Iowa State on Monday, big Monday. So it's like, okay, can K-State cover a first half line? And you're looking at like, what, 13.5, 13 kind of thing? I don't know. I can't. I just can't. But the spot screams K-State first half. But the talent alone, it's probably an under first half, 69.5. That feels really high, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's almost like we were talking about with Pitt. K-State can't score. They stink. They can't score. They're just
this should be like 34-24 at halftime.
Yeah, that's got to be under first half, 69.5 there. So a huge weekend of college basketball for us here on Betting Weekly Live. Of course, it is February now, and Bet Rivers has you set up February Fun Bet. Tennis, soccer, basketball, whatever sport you're following right now, bet on it with a February Fun Bet. Betting Weekly and Bet Rivers have teamed up to give you a $10 bonus bet at Bet Rivers when you enter the bonus code BW201. That code again is BW201. Offer expires on February 15th. That is Sunday. Must be 21. Eligible players only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Doug, I've waited all week, and it's here. NBA All-Star Weekend. The festivities begin tonight. I didn't even realize. What are they doing tonight? Is this still like the rookies and sophomores or whatever they call it, rising stars? Is that what they have?
However, I think this is – you got to go get stretched. You're in the Celebrity All-Star game, no?
Oh, man. I'd be right in there, Doug. Right, stand in that corner and just pop all night. Just give me the rock in the corner. That's it. No
shooter defense calling it out.
No D, but I'll sit down there in the corner and I'll pop them. So I guess these are these the guys who are coaching these rising stars? Melo, T-Mac, Vince and Austin. Man, who does Austin got that it's 8-1 that they're rolling in there with
this is my time. I was playing during the show to go refill the water in the kitchen. I thought you were going to take over for 5 minutes.
Saw these teams.
I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. The world team stars. I don't know.
It is what it is. I don't know how you could play this stuff. I really don't. Team Mello has Reed Shepard, Castle, Harper, Jeremiah Fears, Klingon, Ace Bailey. Obviously, Cooper Flagg's not playing. T-Mac has Kneppel, Ware, Trey Johnson, Tyson, Richese, Cam Spencer. Your boys in the mix tonight. Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr. Vince has Edgecombe, Queen, George.
To be honest, the rookies versus second-year team, those used to be actually really fun to watch because they took it relatively seriously. Yeah. You could always bet the over, went over by like 40 points, and there was some interesting basketball. You saw some guys finally, get to play loose who were not infected by they're either bad teammates or good teammates, right? Some of them were held back. I don't know. I can't get involved in this. I mean, we got Mountain West, we got Big Ten to focus on. We got some women's hoops, maybe. How
about this? On the surface, I'll just root for whatever Kneppel's on. That's T-Mac, plus 175. Kneppel's the best player.
I like Vince and T-Mac. They got a little podcast going, cousins. They're cousins. They found out they were cousins while playing in the NBA. That's always a good little fun fact. It's
Kneppel, Cam Spencer, and Richese. That's enough for me right there. You give me those guys, that's enough. I'll back them. Plus 175 with T-Mac.
Well, you asked is like why people would bet this. I mean, we're 5 days removed from people betting the coin toss in the Super Bowl. So
you make
so there's that, point. and then you get plus money. I mean, this is just people taking a shot and rolling the dice, which I'm okay with. If you want to bet plus 800 for literally a couple bucks, fine, why not? Go for it. Have fun.
Rooting interest, Doug, they like to say. If you want some rooting
It's the
interest,
same
in
as
the
having a
Rising
beer,
Stars.
watching a game. It's the same as you just kind of kick back, you pay a little entertainment. And you know what? Hopefully this won't be fixed like Clase extra innings pitches. So you think that these games, why would you bet on this? Well, hey, why would you bet on postseason baseball now?
Let's do Max. I'm going to do these in order. Let me do Saturday night next, and I'll save Sunday for last. Of course, a tradition unlike any other, the 3-point contest and the dunk contest, All-Star Saturday night, which never really includes that many All-Stars. I guess the 3-point contest does. Our boy's the favorite here, Doug. Knepple for the threes is plus 250 at Bet Rivers. How is Dave? Does that say Damian Lillard's the second choice at plus 450? Isn't he going out there on one leg to do this?
Yeah, I mean, if there were, there's probably props somewhere, I don't know, but I think he'll probably play well in the first round, but he's got to be out of shooting shape, you know.
Who let Bobby Portis in? Does that say Bobby Portis is in this?
Oh yeah, he's a legit long shot. Now, I like his game in the corners, but he shoots so. And I've actually won a few bets. I think I've hit 3 of these over the years, the last 20 years.
I hit the
because you got to break down the shooting motion and the fatigue. So who has sort of the set shot, right? I would say Mitchell and Murray jump too much. That's why I like Maxey. I think he's got a smooth, effortless shot. Now Knepple, totally, but he's got a lot of arms. I like Maxey. I actually think Max. I would have made Maxey the second favorite. I really would have, maybe even the favorite. I don't think people really realize how good of a shooter he is.
Can we do a narrative play with Norman Powell back in Los Angeles at the Intuit Dome? Can we do one of those?
You know, he got moved to a different team for Sunday because
really
where he was born. So he's now on the world team.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna get to that.
UCLA.
Give me a moment. I'm gonna get there. They're
gonna be doing some DNA tests pretty soon.
All right. So it sounds like you like Maxey at 7. I
actually do. Honestly, I think this is worth a bet. Now, if you think about it and take a step away, you see like 9 good shooters. You're only getting 7-1. Like, what are you doing? But I do think the effortless shooting of Maxey and then how much the other guys jump. Like Norm Powell jumps a lot. Bobby Portis jumps a lot. I think Booker should be smooth, but he kind of jumps. You know who'd be the best at this if he weren't hurt? Honestly, would be Grayson Allen. He doesn't jump. He's just got the set shot. But he's obviously not involved. I think Maxey's probably a decent bet, to be honest.
Nobody likes Grayson Allen, so they'll never invite him to this. They don't like the guy. So
he might have actually shot in these. I don't know. I got to think about all this, but I've failed some of these before.
7-1. I'm taking the narrative play. Give me Norm Powell at 9-1.
Okay.
Back in Los Angeles. I will get that. They actually, believe it or not, I know they actually let me play that in New York. They have the 3-point contest up on my board. So I actually can go there. Not the dunk, though. Now, Carter Bryant, Jackson Hayes, Keshad Johnson, and Jace Richardson Jr. Now, Doug, we could probably do an hour here right now if we really wanted to talk about how they've destroyed this event and how it used to have, a little bit, the days of Jordan and Dominique and all, LeBron killed this. He was the first big guy who said, I'm not doing it. And then everybody followed suit. But how can you get someone to watch your crown, your big event, All-Star Weekend, the slam dunk contest, and these are the 4 guys we put up? How can they? Why even do it?
Well, I haven't watched in a few years. So, if it's anything like it was a few years ago, I mean, you get like Dr. J judging, you get Barkley judging, you have Kenny Smith running his mouth, and I guess people like listening to him. He's kind of entertaining at times. So it's also a spectacle. They do interviews of the guys, like the superstars in the crowd or on the first or second row of bench. The crowd, the superstars attend. So they're hidden there with their cameras. Remember Shaq, that funny meme with like actual little video camera that looks like like a ring because his hands are so big. And he's doing the wow. It is a like a Woodstock, if you will. I mean, it is like a great sort of assembly of all these like legends and current stars. So that's why you watch like the side interviews and things like that. And just the slot pull of life, right? Like we all live in this world where we scroll. It's the anticipation of something, right? It's the slot pull of our day-to-day activity. Well, a guy throwing the ball up in the air, getting ready to go dunk. You're anticipating something crazy. You want to have witnessed it. I think the interesting handicap here is Jackson Hayes. Like centers have a tough time to win this, right? Unless they got incredible bounce. Like Dwight Howard, we know won. Heck, Aaron Gordon, 6'10" or whatever he is. So Jackson Hayes, like there is a path for him, and he's got crazy ups. To be honest, I wish Jericho Sims was in this because he's that guy formerly of the Knicks. He really jumps out of the building. I don't know anything. I don't even know who Kashad Johnson is. I don't think I know who Carter Bryant is. I can't conceivably handicap this. I mean, Richardson can probably fly because I remember him at Michigan State. Did his dad ever win this? I know he participated.
Yes, I just saw that in the chat box that his dad has one, and they try to become the first.
I mean, they might like have that as part
narrative.
of the some voter or some judge, excuse me. So 5-1 is probably not the worst thing in the world. I just don't know if he can jump, or he can, but I just don't know how much he can do these dunks.
And this is a little PSA for everyone out there. If Doug doesn't know who Carter Bryant is, or the other guy, who's the other guy? I don't even remember, and it's already past it. If Doug doesn't know who these guys are, that's bad for the NBA.
I literally never heard of Kashad Johnson.
He lives, breathes the NBA. He knows everything. For him to not know who those guys are, that's a problem for the NBA. And
I think we'd have better. So I think we'd have a better like chance of winning and betting on little Jerry fighting in the rooster cockfighting thing with Kramer.
It's probably true. Now Sunday is the again. Here's another thing that they've done. It's just not a basketball game anymore. We can't just put the All-Stars out there and let them have fun and just play a regular game. This is like the 4th or 5th year in a row where Adam Silver's just trying to reinvent the wheel. And this year it is the USA versus the world, but there's 2 USA teams. So we have the Stripes, the Stars, and the world going on here. The Stars have Scotty Barnes, Devin Booker, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duran, Ant, Holmgren, Jalen Johnson, and Maxey. The Stripes have Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Durant, Fox, Ingram, LeBron, Kawhi, Donovan Mitchell, and you said Norm Powell's been moved. So he's on the world now.
My understanding, yes.
With Luka, Joker, Jamal Murray, Sengun, Siakam, Kat, Wembanyama, and Adria from Portland. I don't know, Doug. They're going to play each other each once, so there's 4 games in all. The 3 games in the round robin, and then the 2 teams are going to play for the title. Have at it, Doug. I don't know.
So yeah, the U.S. team's broken up into like old hats or old guard, right? The OGs, and then the young guys, and then the world is the world for obvious explanation. I don't know what to make it. There's a part of me that thinks competitive juices might kick in and be like, oh hell no, he didn't score on me. Like they'll be doing one of those things. I typically am not opposed to change, but I just feel this is like nonsense. Like East-West worked forever. It was the attitude adjustment that's needed, not a pseudo Olympics. I mean, unless you're going to have a podium with gold, silver, and bronze and bragging rights and all that, what are we doing? But who really cares? There's just going to be other things to do on Sunday. How low do you have to be to like bail on your wife or significant other on Valentine's Day to go watch like some of this stuff on Thursday, on Saturday? Yeah, yeah. Honey, it's the Rising Stars Skill Challenge game. Although they got rid of the Skills Challenge because CP3 figured out how to cheat it, so they got rid of the Skills Challenge. But in terms of this, I don't know. I mean,
all right, I would never play the actual dopey game that they're going to play with the round robin. But if you had to pick one guy, narrative based for the MVP of this nonsense, is it Kawhi because he's a Clipper and it's at the Clippers and he's 25-1? Is it LeBron because it might be his last? I don't believe it, but it might be his last All-Star game and he's 14-1. Is there anyone you would pick for a narrative-based play for MVP?
I agree with the favorite. Wemby's all in business. Yes. He says he's going to try. He wants to. He's all in. So I think
that might be a reason to take the world too, because of that. Because
he's on guard. I've said that if he wins like a couple golds at the Olympics and beats Team USA, he could go down as the best ever. I mean, if that would be so like unheard of. Luka doesn't. I mean, these guys aren't going to try. Ant could get going because he's sort of volatile.
Nothing says Joker is showing up and not playing, but then him being 30-1 to win the MVP. That screams Joker's going to be there in spirit and in body, but he will not be there in mind because he is 30-1 to win the MVP. He's not going to be playing.
He wants no part. I could see Jaylen Brown trying hard. He's 12-1, but there'll probably be a point where it's like, God, plus 450 was probably value on Wemby. Just because he's probably one of like 3 guys who could win it.
Would you put Kawhi in the one of the 3 guys who could win it? Because it's Clippers.
I don't know.
You think that doesn't matter?
I honestly think the aspiration stuff, because it's heating up. Pablo Torre is on the hunt right now, and it's a federal investigation for other reasons into aspiration. And I don't know the last thing they want is Kawhi on a podium getting booed. I honestly think it's like Kawhi, and he's always about load management. So remember, he's on a minutes count. That's when we talked about his rebounding prop earlier in the week in some of those games in Houston. I just think Kawhi is going to be like 3 minutes and he's going to sub himself out. I just don't see why he would try at all when he's on a minutes count. He's got to carry the Clippers the rest of the season, and all this attention with like if it were the East-West All-Star game, I'd probably bet Kawhi under, because again, like I just think they want to fly under the radar with this aspiration stuff.
Yeah. Look,
I love the joke though. Instead of he knows where the trees are planted.
And I guess Ant's 16-1, but that would have involved Ant actually caring in the game.
Yeah,
but Ant is 16-1.
He could just shoot a bunch of threes, so you never know.
Yeah, that's where you kind of lean to. NBA All-Star Weekend. I mean, where else would you rather be? Any futures for us on a Friday now that we're at the break? Give me a couple quick futures.
Yeah, I mean, look, this tanking stuff's interesting because you got to look at how many wins are left with these teams and who's going to be trying. So the Clippers are not going for the lottery. They're going to try to win some games, and obviously they played hard. I mean, this week they won in Minnesota and in Houston in 2 of their last 3 games. Kawhi's on a minutes count, but he's been carrying this team. So they're 26-28. Okay, the Clippers are. That's 54 games. That means they have 28 games remaining. Their over-under's 40.5. So they have to go 15, right? They have to go 15. What I say that was remaining? 28. So 15 and 13. I don't think that's happening. I just don't.
Like it.
And look at their first 4 games out of the break. Home to Denver, at the Lakers, home to Orlando, and home to Minnesota. They're lucky if they go 2-2.
Yeah.
Should be 1-3.
It's not bad.
But you have some teams on the back end. Like at the end of the season, they'll get OKC. Who knows what the Thunder situation is, sitting guys. They're at Sacramento. They're home to Dallas. They're at Portland.
Sweaty. It's going to be
sweaty.
They
got some Indiana in there. They got some Milwaukee in there.
It's going to be sweaty.
I think it's under or pass. I mean, 15 and 13. I think their ceiling is 15 wins, honestly. 16 wins maybe.
It's a fun one. Get involved with there.
I bet under 40.5. I think the juice is right. It's like 112, I believe, at Bet Rivers. I think that's too high. I would have made it 39.5.
There you go.
38.5.
And Orlando to miss the playoffs? You meant.
I mean, at some point, you are, as Bill Parcells, famous philosopher, you are what your record. I mean, plus 250 is not that bad. I mean, this team's not good, and they can't stay healthy. Let me ask you this. How many times does a team have to have injuries for you to not assume, hey, when so-and-so gets back, well, why are you assuming that others are going to be healthy when that guy gets back?
Right.
All they do is have people drop like flies. Remember Phoenix training staff used to be the gold standard? Well, they're the opposite, some of these teams. And the Magic, I mean, I'm not saying they're next to a power plant like the 49ers, but they have issues here, and they're not that good to begin with. And I know everyone else is tanking, so when teams are trying to make the playoffs, but they have play-in written all over it for me. I mean, right behind them are the Heat and the Hornets, and Orlando's currently in the play-in. So they could certainly slip. They'll probably be, I'd guess they'd probably be the 9 seed. I don't know.
Is there
probably
ever
not worth a play? They might be hosting a game in the play-in.
Has there ever been more of an indication that we could just get rid of the divisions, that a division winner could be in the play-in tournament? Like, is that ever more reason to just scrap
Well,
them.
that means we
them
can't
out.
bet division. I like divisions.
I know, but they mean nothing if you win a division and you got to play in the
Of course, they
play-in
don't mean anything.
tournament.
Yeah,
I mean,
no
it's
doubt.
just
They don't mean anything.
come on. There you go. And I'm sure lots of futures early next week here on Betting League Weekly Live because there's not a lot of games except NBA, except for college hoops early in the week. Betting Weekly Live, of course, Betting Weekly Studios. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube to the channel. You can check us out and all of our other shows, including released earlier today. Betting Weekly Extra Time. Dan Roebuck, Steve Wiss, and James Eastham as they preview Week 24 across European soccer, including the Serie A matchup between Inter Milan and Juventus. Big one this weekend. So check out Dan, Steve, and James. Betting Weekly Extra Time on the Betting Weekly Studios channel. All right, Doug. The hockey's going on. 3-1 Canada as they go to the third here in this game. And there will be games all weekend on Saturday and Sunday. That's when the preliminary round will end after the next 2 days. So when you come back on Monday, you're going to know what the path is for everybody in terms of the medal round. The United States is going to play 2 this weekend. Tomorrow against Denmark, just after 3 o'clock East, and then Sunday against Germany, just after 3 o'clock East. Canada has one more game left after today. They're playing Sunday morning against France. Man, you know what? What's the puck? 5.5 is the puck line for Canada-France on Sunday morning. Oh, they could drop a hammer on France in that game. That could be ugly Sunday. As far as the U.S. goes, I don't know. I'm still kind of into these. You look at all these games, Doug, and I'm kind of seeing the same pattern. It's been slow starts in the first period for most of these heavy NHL teams. Like they get off to a little bit of a. Now, will that change when they get into their second and third game? I mean, Canada's second game here. I mean, this is Canada's second game, and you know, I know the Swiss aren't the worst of this lot that's in here, but still, I mean, look at this, laying 4 pucks with the United States against Denmark. I'd probably lay that.
I'm walking out on top Costanza style with my Latvia to score a goal in the first period.
See, I would do, if I was going to play that game this weekend, I wouldn't do it in the Denmark game.
I'd lay the 4, I think.
I would lay the 4. I would play the both teams to score in the first in the Germany game.
Ooh,
I think Germany is the second best team in that group.
Yeah, you like them to finish.
I gave you those big
fourth
numbers for them to maybe get into the bronze medal game and come in third or fourth. That both teams to score is plus 180 to the yes. So a little bit less than what you had with Latvia yesterday. But I still think, you know, Draisaitl scored for them yesterday. They've got Grubauer in the nets. That one's the puck line's 3. I puck line the Denmark game and play the both teams to score in the Germany game in the first period. That's what I would play, Doug, for U.S. this weekend.
I like it. I like your bombers of anything. Anything that's a bomber, I'm in on.
We love the bombers. Bombers are always fun for us. And Slovakia-Sweden is a big game tomorrow. I know you got to wake up real early for it. It's just after 6 a.m. East. But Slovakia is 2-0 in that group. And Sweden and Finland Sweden lost to Finland this morning. They're both 1-1. Slovakia with a chance to win that group tomorrow morning. And they're getting a goal and a half at plus 175. Sweden is a lot better. They've got all the NHL talent.
You like your Swedes here.
But Slovakia, they beat Finland. Finland just trounced Sweden this morning. That goal and a half for Slovakia is enticing for me. It really is. They might be the team that's a little bit of a surprise here of this whole entire thing. But there you go for us, Doug. The hockey. Really be ready next week as we get to the medal rounds for all of that. Any other Winter Olympics, Doug? I don't think so. We're not quite there yet with anything else.
No, judging from Twitter, somebody just took a fall or something that's not even going to medal, which they were a favorite. So I think it's an American, so that's not good. That's not good. We need them to get up there in the medal count. They've been struggling behind a little bit here. They've been sitting in third for a few days. They got to turn the gears on a little. Let's get to tonight. The best bets and the daily double for us here on Betting Weekly Live. I'm going to go, Doug, with the under in the Michigan State-Wisconsin game. We talked through it a little bit earlier. I was leaning to it
And that's actually on what's a light night. We know I'm obviously not going to go to the Rising Stars extravaganza out in LA. I'm going to take Michigan State, Wisconsin under 147.5 for my leg tonight.
All right, so we're allergic to points because
Okay.
I'm going to go under in that George Mason, George Washington game.
Now. Was it 3.5 before or 2.5? It was 2.5 before when we did it, right?
Right. I'm going the under, though. I'm
I
going the
know.
under.
I'm just looking
So
at the
not the
number.
side.
I thought the number moved. I'm going, you tell me they're 3.5 point. It was 2.5 earlier. It's now
Getting
3.5 for GW.
Fish.
But we want the under.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get a little nervous here. I'm just mad I blew it yesterday because it's not like I love that under. And, it's like to get the same value or the same credit for the Jazz first half and then that game, the Niagara game with nothing going on. And I had a hunch and I should have just gone with the Green Bay. But we're going to bounce back here.
We are.
I do like this under a little bit. I think this number is just too high. I just think it's too high. I think there's a lot more ways to win on the under than the over. I think, we talk about the mountain hiker game, the whatever rock climber game or whatever, in Price is Right. That margin, I just think that's a little bit of the margin on the over, but a large part on the under 148.5.
So we are rooting to take the air out of the ball tonight on both ends. Under 147.5, Michigan State and Wisconsin. Under 148.5, George Mason and George Washington. That gets you plus 259 at Bet Rivers tonight for the daily double. And for us to finish off a nice 3 out of 5 week, and it would be gentlemen sweeps for both of us, 4 out of 5. With the best bets.
Are you disappointed I didn't go to NBA festivities for tonight?
I was, I was hoping you would. I really wanted you to go there, but that's okay. Hey, you know what? We gave a little bit more than I thought we would in terms of the 3-point contest. Gave you a couple, maybe MVPs on Sunday.
I do like
a couple
Maxey.
things.
I do like Maxey.
Like Maxey for the threes. Doug, tremendous job as always, and. I'm the one who's going to break the streak. I think me and Doug have done Betting Weekly Live every day together since October. And I am cracking the egg, unfortunately, on Monday. The kids are off school next week. Big Pennsylvania trip. So I'm out of the mix for a couple days, Doug. But I know for at least Monday, Tuesday, Massera will be holding the fort with you here on Betting Weekly Live. You got lots of college hoops, Doug. Get ready. Lots of college hoops early next week for you and Chris.
We will try to proceed without you. You will be missed, but obviously it was bound to happen.
One of us had to. One of us had to.
No Cal Ripken's. No
I
Cal
know, we
Ripken
tried.
Streaks here.
We tried to do it. We almost got there, but
enjoy the family time, well deserved, and we'll be here. We'll keep the seat warm for you.
I will see you guys later in the week. I'm not out the whole week. I will be back later in the week once the NBA comes back. I'll be back the same night as the NBA, so we'll get everybody going. Thank you. Tremendous show I saw there on the bottom. We appreciate that. From everybody who does tune in. All right, Betting Weekly Live, Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the games. Enjoy the dunk contest if you even tune into that. See you back on Monday on Betting Weekly Live.